ever pondered about a world without plants? What if a global epidemic wiped out every single one of them? Imagine our planet, bereft of its green cloak, stripped of its vital life force. Plants, often overlooked, are the silent heroes of our world. They are the lungs of the earth, inhaling carbon dioxide and exhaling the oxygen we breathe. They anchor the soil, preventing erosion and creating habitats for countless creatures. They are the first link in the food chain, providing sustenance for all life forms, from the smallest insects to the largest mammals, including us humans. Without them, the intricate web of life would unravel, leading to an ecological catastrophe unlike any we have ever known. The ripple effect would be staggering. The food chain would crumble, air quality would plummet, and soil would turn barren. Without plants, life as we know it would change dramatically. But how, you might ask? Let's start with the basics, the food chain. Plants are the foundation of it all. Picture a towering building. Each level, each floor, each brick is dependent on the one below it for support. Just like this, our food chain is built on a series of interdependent levels, known as trophic levels. And at the base of it all, the very foundation, are our plants. Plants, or primary producers, are the green leafy miracles that harness the power of the sun to turn carbon dioxide and water into glucose, a form of energy they can use. This process is called photosynthesis, and it's the first step in the food chain. But plants don't just keep all this energy to themselves. Oh no, they are the food source for the next level in our food chain, the primary consumers or herbivores. From the tiniest aphid to the largest elephant, these creatures depend on plants for their survival. They munch, crunch, and graze their way through the plant kingdom, converting plant matter into energy they can use. But the chain doesn't stop there. Next up, we have the secondary consumers, the carnivores and omnivores, who rely on primary consumers for their sustenance. From the stealthy fox to the soaring eagle, they capture and consume herbivores, transferring energy up the chain. Finally, we have the apex predators, the kings and queens of the animal world. They sit at the top with no natural predators of their own, but their survival is still tied to the health of the levels below them. Each level is intricately linked, with energy flowing from one to the next. But what happens when the first link, the very foundation of this chain, disappears? If plants were wiped out, the primary producers would be gone. Herbivores, those primary consumers, would lose their food source. Starvation would follow and their numbers would dwindle dramatically. With fewer herbivores to hunt, carnivores and omnivores would also start to feel the pinch. Their food source would shrink, and they too would face the grim prospect of starvation. Apex predators, despite their strength and power, would not be immune to this cascade of collapse. In essence, the entire food chain would crumble, like a building without its foundation. We'd see a catastrophic loss of biodiversity, with many species facing the grim prospect of extinction. Ecosystems around the world would be thrown out of balance, with far-reaching and potentially irreversible consequences. Without plants, the first link in the food chain disappears and the rest collapses. But what does that mean for us? As humans, we sit alongside apex predators at the top of the food chain. But just like them, our survival is intricately tied to the health of the levels below us. So let's delve into that in our next scene. We humans are not exempt from this impending disaster. On the contrary, we're right in the firing line. Picture the world without plants. It's not just a barren and colorless landscape, but a world where the very foundation of life is missing. The first and most obvious impact would be food shortages. Plants, after all, are the primary producers in our food chain, converting sunlight into energy through photosynthesis. They are the base upon which the rest of the food chain is built. Without plants, herbivores would starve first. Deer, rabbits, cows, and countless other species that rely on plants for nourishment would quickly perish. As these populations dwindle, the predators that depend on them for survival would also begin to suffer. Lions, wolves, and bears would find their food sources dwindling, leading to widespread starvation among these apex predators. But it doesn't stop there. Many insects and bird species also rely on plants for food, either directly or indirectly. Bees, for instance, feed on nectar and help in plant pollination. Birds often feed on these insects or the seeds and fruits of plants. Without plants, these species would also face extinction, leading to a massive decline in biodiversity. And then there's us, humans. We rely heavily on plants for our diet. Fruits, vegetables, grains, these primary food sources would be gone. our farms would turn into lifeless dust bowls. Supermarket shelves would be eerily empty. The widespread starvation would not just be a possibility, but an inevitable reality. But plants are not just food. They are also the lungs of our planet, producing oxygen through photosynthesis. Without them, the oxygen levels in our atmosphere would steadily decrease, making it difficult for us and most other animals to breathe. Moreover, plants play a vital role in regulating our climate. They absorb carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas, helping to mitigate climate change. Without them, the levels of this gas would skyrocket, leading to a rapid increase in global temperatures. This interconnectedness of all life on Earth is what makes our planet unique. It's a delicate balance, a complex web where each strand supports the others. Remove one, and the whole system starts to unravel. We humans, despite our technological advances and intelligence, are not separate from this web. We are a part of it. Our survival is intertwined with the survival of the other species on this planet, and at the heart of it all are plants. So, a world without plants is a world on the brink of collapse. But is there any way we could prevent or mitigate this catastrophe? All hope is not lost. There are ways we can prevent this disaster and protect our beloved green world. In the face of such a grave catastrophe, we must turn to the very essence of life on Earth: biodiversity. This rich variety of life is our planet's greatest asset. It's the safeguard of our food chain, the provider of our oxygen, and the protector of our ecosystems. It's what makes our world vibrant, resilient, and adaptable. Preserving biodiversity is not merely a sentimental pursuit. It's a practical necessity for our survival. Our efforts must also focus on conservation. From the towering redwoods to the humble grass beneath our feet, each plant plays a vital role in the grand tapestry of life. Conservation isn't just about protecting individual species, it's about safeguarding entire ecosystems. It's about maintaining the balance that allows life to flourish. By conserving our plant life, we're not just preserving the beauty of our world, we're ensuring the stability of our food chain and the health of our planet. Sustainable practices are another key piece of the puzzle. We must learn to live in harmony with nature, not against it. This means reducing waste, conserving resources, and promoting practices that enhance, not harm, the environment. Sustainability is not just a buzzword, it's a commitment to the future, an investment in our planet's well-being. Science, too, has a crucial role to play. Through research and innovation, we can develop disease-resistant plants, capable of withstanding the threats of a global epidemic. We can engineer crops that are hardier, more nutritious, and more resilient. The power of science is immense, and it's a tool we must wield with care and responsibility. Our future depends on the choices we make today. By protecting our plant life, we safeguard the food chain and our survival. The path ahead may be challenging, but remember, every action counts. Every tree planted, every garden tended, every sustainable choice made brings us one step closer to a greener, healthier world. It's in our hands. Let's make it count. So, let's sum up what we've learned today. We've tackled the unthinkable, the eradication of all plant life on Earth. Plants, the silent heroes of our world, play a pivotal role in the food chain. They're not just a food source for herbivores, but they're the lifeblood of our entire ecosystem. When we imagined their disappearance, we saw the domino effect it would have on life as we know it. Herbivores would starve, leading to a ripple effect up the food chain, ultimately impacting us, humans. We'd face widespread famine, and the ecological collapse would be a stark reality. But in the face of such a catastrophe, we also recognize the power of conservation and restoration. The future lies in our efforts to protect and diversify plant life, to maintain the balance of our ecosystem. The loss of plant life would be catastrophic, but it's a catastrophe we have the power to prevent. Let's cherish our green world, for it holds the key to our survival.